My name is Jennifer Kern, and this is my second semester within the EdTech program. I worked with RJ and Becca, and we created a game on the Great Depression.
Go.
Hi, and welcome to our game. This is the Can You Survive the 1930s? This is Rebecca and RJ, and we want to tell you about our game and all the rules, the instructions, all the pieces on the board, so I'm going to let Becca take it over from there. Go ahead, Becca.
Alright, to start, you're going to first choose one of our 5 persona cards. On these persona cards, as you can see, right, there are different people that you will take on during this game. This will determine how many rations you start. Rations in this game are similar to money.
First, there's the businessman, who starts with 8 rations. Next, we have the farmer, and the farmer will start with 5 rations. The migrant worker, who starts with 2. A factory worker, who starts with 4. The homemaker, who starts with 3. And lastly, the unemployed, who will start with 1. Once you have randomly selected a persona card, you then deal the rations according to each individual card depending on the persona you get. You roll the die to see who goes first, and then you begin the game. Now, the objective is to learn information and review the history of the Great Depression. And in order to win the game, you complete the designated loop around the board, and everybody ultimately will complete the same path, but the person with the most rations at the end of the game will win. This is the game board in which you will be using. Now, you will start at this green start in the middle. Now, depending on the number of points you roll on the die, that will tell you on which point and square to land on. Now, the blue squares don't have any directions on them. That will prompt you to select a card from the pile, and you will need to then answer a variety of trivia questions in relation to the Great Depression. Now, they are fact cards, interpretation cards, critical thinking cards, and the person to your right will read the question and use the answer key in order to determine the accuracy. If you are correct in your answer, then you will receive 1 ration. Now, if you were to land on one of these purple or red squares along the game board, then you would read the directions on that specific card. So, for example, if you can explain laissez-faire, then you can get 1 ration per detail that you provide. If you land on this red square and you are cutting the soup line, then you lose your next turn. Now you will continue this process working your way around the board. If at any point though you do run out of rations, then you can stand in the soup line, but you lose your next turn in order to gain 2 rations. Once everybody has made their way around the entire board, then the person with the most rations at the end is the winner.
The audience would typically be higher level middle school students, 7th, 8th graders, or certainly high school students, certainly juniors where they would be studying American history. As far as this game is concerned, we see it being played in 2 different areas. It could be used first as a pre-assessment to see what they already know about the 1930s and have them start to be exposed to what kind of questions are going to be coming in this unit, see how much they know already, and obviously as a post-assessment to see how much they've learned, and they could see how well they've done in the beginning as opposed to the end, and compare the results based on that.
To start the game, each player will pick one of the 5 persona cards. The persona cards should be shuffled and placed face down. Both RJ and I will pick 1 persona card. I got unemployed. Wonderful.
That sucks.
So I start, as we read it, it says, you recently lost your land and home due to foreclosure. As you travel from town to town looking for a job, none are available. You have wasted too many hours waiting and working and food lines that get you nothing. You scour garbage cans and dumps looking for any supplies and food that you can. With this, you get lucky. Start with 1 ration. Can you survive? So I would start with 1 ration. I would give myself 1 ration. RJ, how many rations do you start with?
I start with 2 because I have the migrant worker. Anybody that's read Of Mice and Men, Lenny and George, that's what we're talking here. And my description, you move with the harvest depending on what is in season. Constantly on the move, you hitch rides and car hop on the trains and walk, hey Phoenix, and car hop on the trains and walk endless miles to get to the next employer. Often you're sleeping in barns, chicken coops, shacks, and even migrant camps that have you feeling like a refugee. When Black Tuesday came, you were left with what little you had on your back. You start with 2 rations. Can you survive? And so, obviously Becca and I have only picked up 2 cards, but every persona card has a different description, a different background, and they'll start with different numbers of rations. So obviously you might get lucky, you might get unlucky, but again, the bottom line is you'll have a starting set of rations. Can you accumulate as many as you can by the end of the game?
Alright, so once you have your persona card, you're going to take your die, and each player will roll the dice. And whoever has the highest number to start gets to go on the first turn. I rolled a 1, so it's RJ's turn. RJ rolled a 2, so he gets to roll first. Go ahead, RJ.
Okay. Now again, you're going to start in the middle of the board here where obviously it says start, but make sure you deal out your rations first. Rebecca's already got hers, I've got my 2. So we'll go ahead and get started. I got a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now that I've landed on a blue space, Rebecca's going to ask me a question.
So the questions will be on cards that are on the board. RJ will pick up a question and answer it, and then you also have an answer sheet printed out that the other players can look at to check RJ's answer against. The question I'm going to ask RJ is, why did the U.S. citizens in the Great Depression not like Herbert Hoover?
Well, given my English background, why didn't they like Herbert Hoover? My guess is because he was unsupportive during the Great Depression.
I'll give it to you.
Yes.
Alright?
Oh,
The answer is laissez-faire, because Herbert Hoover had a laissez-faire attitude about the economy. Now it's my turn to roll.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, same idea. I rolled a 6. Where were you here?
Yep.
RJ. So I would pick a card, and RJ can check the answer against it. RJ, what's the question ask?
What were 3 positive aspects of the government stimulus package?
It got many people back to work. It helped fix the banks, and it increased morale. Great. How many rations do I get?
You get 1.
Great. So I get 1 ration for answering it correctly, and I forgot to give RJ his
I already
ration.
took 1.
You
I already
stole
took
a
1.
ration.
I stole a ration. Yep, robbing the bank.
All right, your turn, RJ.
Okay.
6.
Landed on a purple space.
RJ landed on a space saying, "It's election time. FDR versus Hoover. Explain your choice. Get 1 ration." Who do you choose, RJ?
I'm going to take FDR because he was the president during the time. My reasoning being that because he had many more positive initiatives that would have helped us out of the Great Depression.
Great. Alright, so RJ just lost 2 rations when he landed on a red space, and he only had 1 ration left, which means that he gave up his ration, and he has no more rations. I was the one who started unemployed. I had fewer rations than he did.
We get it, okay? We get it.
But because he has no more rations, what happens is he loses a turn, and then after he loses his turn, on his next turn, he will get 2 rations to continue playing.
Metaphorically, I had to stand in the soup line to get food. So, I will get 2 rations, I will lose my next turn. Alright, so you
Yes.
get 2 for 1.
5. Question.
Okay, question. Why were the farmers particularly struggling during the Great Depression?
Because of the Dust Bowl. Thank you for your ration.
And you get to go again.
6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I made it out!
You made it out!
Yes!
Congrats, you get to go to World War II.
Uh-oh.
So as you can see, one of the greatest strategies for this game is to have an in-depth knowledge of the Great Depression
Yeah.
and the 1930s in general. That is
Yeah.
what will help you the most.
Or be a history major.
That gives me a great knowledge of the 1930s. And if we were to count our rations, RJ, how many do you have?
4.
6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah, we get
10,
it.
11,
We get
12, 13, 14, 15,
I think the audience
16.
gets it.
I have 17 rations.
It's like the worst time
Now,
in my
you
life.
know math, right? Which one's better? Who
I'm an
wins?
English teacher. I don't know math.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I win.